The Shame of Chester Prynne. Part 2, Chapter 7. Suis, Libre. January 12th, 2012 at 7:20 a.m. Avenue Michel-Ange. Imagine you are all alone in a foreign city on a cold January morning, shivering as snow falls upon your bare head, slowly melting down your wet scalp and onto your face. At this early hour, on an empty and unassuming street, you hear nothing but the hush of the real-life snow globe you are inhabiting, leaving you with the feeling you are the only human left on Earth. You are staring at 3 large suitcases that contain the last of your worldly possessions. These bulky suitcases, now draped in snow, rest on the stoop of a nondescript building you have never seen before. Without any help from person or machine, you will drag those suitcases up a few flights of stairs to a flat you have never seen that is now your new home. Are you terrified or exhilarated? Are you filled with regret or hope? Are you feeling cast out or completely liberated? Are you at the end of an arduous journey or at the beginning of a great adventure? I know that you know the answer is, of course, all of the above. It was also unequivocally one of the happiest moments my dear friend ever experienced. The snowscape that welcomed my friend has long since melted away, revealing the greyscape for which this city is better known. He's been a full-time resident for nearly 2 months and has yet to catch a glimpse or even a hint of the existence of that celestial body supposedly essential for the survival of all life on Earth. And although there is no snow or any other precipitation, all he feels almost all of the time is wet and cold. He's once again leaving the office in a mad rush to meet someone at a restaurant. He realizes as he runs down the stairwell, always faster than the lifts in this building, that he has yet to hold a single meeting in an actual office since arriving at his new post 2 months ago. He bursts out of the lobby onto the large city square, feeling colder than usual, having forgotten his topcoat again. As if infected by the raw chill and grey pallor they are powerless to escape, taxi drivers embody the misery of the climate and represent the real blemish upon this city. These creatures of the deep underworld seem to perpetually loiter outside rather than within, the vehicles which ostensibly exist to drive patrons to requested destinations. A taxi driver has no obligation to converse with you, look at you, let alone drive you. Your request for a ride is itself an imposition so grave that every time such transportation becomes a necessity, you will either seethe in resentment the entire trip, or remain frozen in a state of silent contrition, reflecting on your great sin, praying that he doesn't start yelling at you again for your phone-making noises. Rushing toward the square around the corner from his office, he hopes for a stroke of good luck as he checks the time on his phone. Seeing the time, he swears his favorite French cuss word, putain de merde. Realizing these taxi drivers will determine whether he is only modestly behind schedule or completely fucked. Picking up speed, his gait shifts into higher gear, only to immediately trip over one of the millions of cobblestones that pave every square meter of this city and yet seem to serve no discernible public use or aesthetic purpose. Ignoring the searing pain and hint of wetness spreading across his knee through his trousers, he limps ever forward, refusing to miss the chance at winning the game of taxi stand roulette. The problem with commerce in Europe is how unimportant money seems to be in the exchange. Haggling with the taxi driver is predictably fruitless, but as if to prove that grace is only gracious if unearned, this particular driver, for no explicable reason, simply waves my friend into the car and drives him to the appointed destination. Perhaps the taxi driver witnessed my friend's tumble and felt indebted, not out of pity or concern, but rather for the raucous laugh he and his comrades had at my friend's expense. I suspect my friend was smiling at that moment, while sitting in a vehicle that smelled like the ashtray it served as, at the thought of a lovely idea. He loved this place because of how its beauty and brilliance were all the more so, because it was a secret to which he was among the very few privy. The climate, the grey that was everywhere, the brutalist architecture, the impenetrable bureaucracy, and even the sadist taxi drivers were all a facade. My friend is in love with Brussels. He, and almost he alone. A few hours later, as he wraps up a meeting at another restaurant where he has spent the better part of the afternoon, the better part of a week actually, eating and drinking, my friend ponders a tantalizing question. Is it possible, he wonders, if drinking obscenely expensive Bordeaux and savoring foodstuffs illegal to consume in several US states have now become the primary responsibilities of his vocation here in Europe? If so, he believes himself uniquely qualified and graciously accepts the responsibility with all the humility of a peacock. If you think that Paris or New York or Copenhagen or any other city for that matter is the Epicurean center of the universe, you are mistaken. Just as the angry little taxi men belie the true grace and charm of this place, the waffles, mussels and French fries are another ruse that keeps the Belgian food scene well disguised. The entire country hides behind a Potemkin village, just from the wrong side. You will not find many Michelin star restaurants or celebrity chefs in Brussels, but can discover more family-owned restaurants serving haute cuisine per capita than anywhere else. So we are informed, not by a Belgian of course. Some of my happiest memories are eating with my friend at these restaurants, where dinner never begins before 9 and rarely finishes by midnight, and you will never leave without a buzz or a new friend. He can make his way around any 5-course menu and wine list, but realizes as he looks inside his empty refrigerator how daunting the task of grocery shopping seems. To be clear, he rather enjoys both cooking and grocery shopping, even if only to prepare the simplistic menus of the diet regimen he had perfected over the past few years, leading to a slim figure that now makes him look far more European than American. He knows exactly the ingredients needed. He can even decipher them in French, but finding the same ingredients of even the most basic foodstuffs is far more difficult than one might imagine. But first, one must get to the grocery store. For his first 2 months in Brussels, he relies upon the ubiquitous night store that appears on almost every corner, so-called because they are the only shops open at any convenient hour for the vast majority of the public. Nearly every other retail establishment opens for business precisely when you start work and is fully shuttered well before one normally returns home. Nothing at all in Brussels, except bars and restaurants, is open on Sunday, clearly in observance of the Sabbath for the 3 or 4 practicing Catholics still alive in Brussels. Night shops are primarily owned and operated by African or Arab immigrants and resemble a 7-Eleven crammed into the space about the size of a living room. Cigarettes and beer are supplemented by a seemingly random assortment of packaged food items, with the rare, fresh, staple ingredient on display. Admiring the sleek European appliances and Scandinavian cabinetry of his empty kitchen, he considers for a moment whether to return to the comprehensive game plan he had started weeks ago to conquer grocery shopping. Resigned to its futility, he returns empty-handed to the pretty black leather sofa with the shape and comfort of a slab of concrete in the otherwise empty living room where the Apple TV works just perfectly. Trying to mold some contour into the very European sofa, he looks across the sterile, monochromatic space that is now his actual home in a surreal, almost out-of-body-like state. He never expected nor sought to live overseas. He traveled extensively for work and had always been content with seeing the world through the windows of airplanes and hotels. Then it hits him. He suddenly realizes that it is not geography that is so novel about his present circumstance. It is that this is the first time in his 38 years he has ever lived alone as a single man. As he watches another episode of another vapid series, he feels neither lonely nor unsatisfied given his current circumstances. To the contrary, he cannot recall feeling as content as he does at that moment. He loves that the prospect of doing something as quotidian as grocery shopping is as daunting as it seems, because it is all part of this amazing adventure of living abroad. He had never felt as free and as excited for what tomorrow might bring, as he veggies on a hard sofa, binging bad TV,